A buck swope joint.
0-2 in the monochrome royal blue look. They seem to be the least favorite among the audience. Will we see those pants again in 2020, or are they going to be shelved as more of a once per year novelty?
That's a great question for Brendan Berger. One of the issues we had, and I know people kept saying, more Saul pants, is those were the last things Nike delivered to us this year because of the pandemic. So we actually didn't really get them until the end of August. So when people said, why didn't you wear them during the scrimmage? Because we didn't have them. And even at the beginning of the year, Brendan was very careful because we only had so many, not to necessarily overuse them in games, because the quick turnaround meant that, we might not have enough pairs for the next game. And, now that we've got them more in, but I certainly after the second loss in, the monochrome look in San Francisco, I looked at him and said, all right, definitely yellow pants. We were always planning to go yellow pants against the Bears. And after we beat the Bears, said, you're packing the yellow pants for Miami. But now I'd probably look at him and say, let's go all bone all the time. But you have to submit the uniform combination, at least the tops, to the NFL July 1st. So that means we don't necessarily get to go in and change it, up on the fly. But we have a couple of bone games left, some blue, and, hopefully we can just play good football in all of it and win the remaining 8 games and all the combinations, and that'll be great.
So I think the blue is set for Seattle coming out of the bye in week 10, which means there should be plenty of time to launder them and get a new shipment in.
Yep, and we'll say, okay, we're 2-0 at home and, in the blue and yellow. But, one of the great things is we get to the second part of the season, right? We have been undefeated so far. Having 5 of those last 8 games at home will be awesome, and we'll do it in the uniforms, we'll do it in the colors. And, while there have been no fans at SoFi, it has provided a great home field advantage for us.
Last one on the uniform front, any timeline or plans for version 3 upcoming in 2021? How would you like to see those rolled out?
I think we're still talking to Nike and the NFL about version 3, version 4. The fact that we held back those 2 uniform combos, for the future, those will be something I think we'll look at after the season and talk about, but no real updates on those so far. But, plan to roll those out in the coming years. If we do one, it would be one next year and maybe one the following year or some combination thereof. So, our goal hopefully is we can get to the point where maybe we can unveil a new uniform every year, either the way we space it out or whether the NFL or Nike, changes those rules, maybe a little bit more of a European soccer model where you come up with that alternate jersey, each year.
Wow, the Oregon Ducks of Los Angeles.
Some people like that, some people don't. But yeah, we could see that.
There is no secret plan. There is no secret plan.
Let's flash back to August 2013.
Now, anytime you appear on this show, we ask about the uniforms. I thought that was our own little cute thing, but it turns out that you get asked about the uniforms, it sounds like, on a daily basis multiple times. And so you addressed it last week in the Post-Dispatch that there are plans, at least considerations at the very least, I don't want to put words in your mouth, to change up the uniforms. Doug is horrified by the league policy that will make it take a few years in order to get it there.
I think the article in the Post-Dispatch, maybe the headline writer is also someone who wants to see the uniform change, because I think the headline change said Ram uniform change likely, which is not what we said. I think as we look at this over the next 5 to 7 years, there's a lot of interest in our uniforms. I don't think there's anything truly distinctive about our current uniform. Rams have a great 75-plus year tradition in the NFL, an iconic uniform with the horn. So I do think over the next 5 to 7 years, sometime from like that, a uniform redesign is in the cards, a complete one. It's not going to happen anytime soon. For throwbacks, we would have had to make our minds up by this January to do it for the 15 season, which we're not going to do. So I wouldn't expect any changes. I think the earliest you would do would be 2017, 2018.
Why so long? Why so long to get that done?
Part of it is, we're not at the point yet where I think it takes, the NFL process is about 2 to 3 years to really study, look, get in production, to vet, and do all of that. And
even that though, Kev, why does it take 2 or 3 years to study a uniform?
Well, I think when you look at it in terms of the changes, what people want to do, I think part of it is to make sure that people every 2 years aren't changing uniforms. That there's a real commitment to looking at it. I think this is something the league has looked at. They don't want teams. I don't think they're looking for the college look where every 3 years you have, some crazy uniform change and people are just doing it to sell jerseys. And also it's harder to get, if you're have the ability to change uniforms quickly. It's harder to get people to stock them and inventory and get something to hold and study them. So I have no problem with the time frame. And to be honest, it really matches up with ours, which is we're not looking to make a uniform change imminently. I think we'd like to do it, in the near future, maybe change the throwbacks first and play with those.
Yeah, I can understand how they wouldn't want teams changing to look like what the Missouri Tigers have got going right now. It just seems like you could look at that in 5 seconds and say, nope, you can't do that, rather than needing 2 years to study it. It just seems like it could be streamlined a little bit.
There is no secret plan. There is no secret plan.